Hello, my guys. Welcome to the live show for A Time of Courage by Mr. John Gwynne. Oh my god, I'm the only one with the white cover. I feel special. I feel
I am jealous
privileged.
of the UK covers.
White and basic.
This,
Oh.
yeah, they're not, to be fair, I don't like any of them more than the other. I don't like these covers more, but I do like that the spine matches my other ones, which is why I decided to go these seeing as I was buying them anyway. This is the final live show for the Banished lands, but in case anybody missed it, we are going to be moving on to the Bloodsworn Saga by John Gwynne, which is an unconnected trilogy to this world. And I'm pretty sure that I had the foresight to put the announcement video in the description box if you guys would like to join in. I also know that I get like people who just jump in to see what a live show is about when we go live. So if you are one of those people and you can't stay for the discussion, but you do want to get involved, then we are starting a new unrelated series very soon, and you can find the details down there if you would like to join us. But for everybody else who is new here, who is not new here, should I say, sorry. We will do our non-spoilery thoughts and star ratings very briefly to start off, and then moving on from that, everything will pretty much be spoilers for the whole 7 books in the Banished Lands world. So please leave if you don't want to be spoiled. But I guess we'll start with Deb on the brief thoughts on this one.
I struggled getting into this, and whether that was just it's January and I struggle with everything in January, who knows? But it took me a while to feel invested in it. It was very battle heavy, and that's a little bit more of a struggle for me. So this was not my favorite in the series. I think I wound up like 3.5 is where my head's at in the present moment.
Sandra?
So I actually loved this in the beginning, like the first 60%. I was sure that this was going to be a 5-star book. And I was like, what is happening? Because it was so good. And we had a lot of Bleda in this one, which we obviously will talk more about. Because he was my favorite character since book 1, but then he didn't do shit. And now he finally did something. So I really love that. But then the final battle, which was just the length of the other battles, really disappointed me because I felt like it was just very easy and a bit boring. And I was like, really? You could have done this in the other series. And then I was disappointed and gave it a 4.
Okay. Aaron?
Disclaimer, I read this like 3, maybe 4 months ago. But I struggled with this one too. I loved it, but I struggled too because when we went from book 1 to book 2, we had one additional POV that was like from the enemy side. But I actually could a lot of ways empathize with her and understand her perspective. But in this book, we added a second enemy POV, and there was a character I could not empathize with and I could not stand. So much of that side, and the POVs would be grouped together very often, made it really hard. It took me a lot longer to get through this one than the previous 2, but I still really enjoyed it. I love Letta. I love Reeve. And I actually am really satisfied with the ending. And I was watching Becca's vlog recently, and she was talking about she doesn't know how he can wrap it all up. And I was like, I actually really think that everything was wrapped up really solidly. And the found family and the connections, I really appreciate it. So I would probably say it's probably my second favorite in the series. Yeah, but overall, I love it.
Which one's your favorite?
I did bring her for this occasion.
Time of Blood. Okay.
Time of Blood. Incredible.
Okay. Vish?
It's really weird. Okay. So I kind of really like this, like a lot. Even though it was really battle heavy, like I like that. It was really good. It was obviously kept the pace going. Like Aaron said, it's like a really solid ending. And I kind of gave this 4.5 stars. I really liked it. It would have been more, but I still stand by my thoughts about like the characters and like how invested I was in them throughout at least the whole series. Because I feel like in The Faithful and the Fallen, we got to know the characters a little bit more and got more invested in them. So like anything happened to the characters in here, it wasn't as devastated. You know what I mean? So I just really like this a lot. It's 4.5 stars.
Which one is your favorite book in the series?
From the three, this one's kind of actually my fave.
Okay.
Because the other two I gave
Interesting.
4 stars. So this one was 4.5. It wasn't more, like I said, because of the characters. Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's another thing that I'm still disappointed about. That I was disappointed in the ending of Wrath as well. But we'll get to it later.
Okay.
Oh, and also the
I
magic. Sorry, and also the
Mhm.
magic. We were talking about it as well for the last series of this series, how there was no really explanation, and a lot of it came to play at the end. So I wasn't impressed about the non-explanation of that, but that's fine.
I gave it a 3.5 again. I think it's probably my lowest rated in all of the 7 books that we've read. And I think that is, I don't think that my opinions are anything shocking. It's because, like with Wrath, this is a very battle heavy book. But unlike Wrath, I'm not quite as invested in the characters in this one. And so it's harder for me to not necessarily overlook how many battles there are, but there was less to balance out the amount of battles that there were in this. It's interesting because my thoughts are kind of opposite to Sandra's in that I really didn't care very much for the first, like, especially half of this, but up until the final battle, I enjoyed everything that I read that was in between the battle scenes. But then anything like battle related up to the final one wasn't really holding my attention. And I do think that I zoned out through a lot of the battle scenes in this book. But I did really like the way that it ended. Like Vish said about the magic, I wish we'd had more explanation, but I loved that the way the magic was utilized at the end. And I also thought that the battle scene was very cinematic, which is like the battle scene at the end of Wrath. And I'm kind of happy with how the series ended as a whole. I feel like we could have done with a little bit in between, like the end of the battle and the proper resolution of the book, like just a little bit of filler there. But aside from that, like I don't want to say the ending saved the book for me because I was pretty solid on it being like a three or a 4. But I do think that the end of the book was my favorite part. So for those of you who have not read any of these books or have not read this book, if you're just popping in to vibe check, then please pop yourself back out because we can't really discuss this book without spoilers anymore. But it was lovely to have you, and we will maybe see you for the Bloodsworn saga. But to get into the spoilers of it all, I don't really know where to start. Does anybody have anything burning that they wish to say?
Bleda.
Oh, yeah, that upset Aaron as well. He wasn't a fave for me, but he was my favorite perspective in this book specifically, I think. I didn't care very much for him at all in the first 2 books, and my favorite book is the first one, which is that Time of Dread.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
Dread,
just so
Blood and Courage.
annoying way to die. It was so unnecessary. And like
It
I
was
agree
the
with
only like shocking moment in the book, though. I think I was
so
shocked.
annoying.
Yeah, I agree.
I was just like, he died for nothing. He literally died because Cole is a little shit.
And there was no time for that to be a secret. Like it was revealed that that's what happened so quickly. Like we didn't have time for when will she find out? No, she already did.
It was just really annoying. But I like in this one I wasn't as invested because like we didn't have Gwynne, we didn't have Eradis and Aethera being boyfriends. So, like, but still, like Bleda was my fave, and then they killed him, and then he died in such an annoying way, and I was just like, ugh. So yeah.
I find it really interesting how I think a lot of us feel similarly that we didn't get as invested in the characters because we have so many fewer POVs in this compared to the first one where there were so many POVs, and yet I felt like I knew those characters better, even though we spent less page time with them.
But I feel like they did more in Faithful and Fallen. Like they did more things. They travel like or was it not Veritas, but like McQueen, he wasn't like a gladiator at some point. Like he was like through so many things. So we were on a much bigger journey with him. But here I feel like a lot of the characters, like Dram, what did he actually do? He he found out that he was part of a thing, and then he was just a fighter, and then he rode a bear, and I was like, cool, I don't care.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Aaron is not your friend.
I get in my ring. I honestly think this is a situation where the way that you read something is impacting it, because I read all 3 books back to back, which is my preferred method. And I obviously felt a lot closer to them. And I think one of the differences between this series and the other series that we read previously is this one takes place over a much shorter time span. So Faithful and the Fallen takes place over about 4 years, and this takes place over just over 2 years. But when I think about things that happen with the characters and their character connection, like what they did, because we had our first live show, I finished that book that day. After the live show, I started the second book, and then by the time that same time next week, I read all 3. So I felt really connected to them, because I spent a lot of time with them. I spent a very concentrated amount of time with them, and I also think that there being fewer characters, and that in the world scheme, this story was bigger than the last, but on like a size and scale scene, it seemed smaller than the last. But the only reason it seemed smaller is because when we were in the first series, we had all these separate lands. So it was very obvious when we went from Burns area to where the giants were, to this area, to the mountains. But all of these areas had become unified. So it really didn't seem like there was too much going on or too much travel, except when we got to like that last book. But I felt really, and because we didn't have to spend as much time world building, because the world building had been done in the 2,000 pages of that previous series, we got to spend a lot of time with our characters. Whereas in that first book, we were setting up the world, setting up the characters, setting up the magic. So there were a lot of slow moments where not necessarily the plot was moving forward, but we were just really getting established with the setting. But because the setting had already been so established, all the set piecing that we were doing were with the characters. So I'm gonna continue to tussle later, but I'm gonna leave it right there.
I do think, like I said, one of my issues is that I didn't feel as connected to the characters because we lacked those slow moments. I do feel like it was a little bit abridged. Like I noticed with the traveling and stuff that we were doing, it was very much like, we're going to go somewhere, and then the next time you see those people, they're pretty much already there, or they're like right outside the place where they're going to be. Whereas in the first series, we did have a lot of those slower moments, which obviously it makes sense. There's not enough to fill those slower moments when we've already done all of the world building in this world and we kind of already know what's going on. But I do feel like there are a couple of areas that could have been a little bit more fleshed out. I feel like in this book in particular, the reveal that we had, that when Corbin died, Coraline just like took herself off into the woods and never came back. I feel like that's something that we should already have known. Like that seems like a big deal. Like the big heroes of this world, like he died and she just took herself off in the woods and then was never heard from again. And I feel like that was kind of just thrown in here and then discovered.
And then she wrote a magic book. How?
Yeah, I think I would have liked more explanation on that, because I feel like I got the impression that that was a collaborative effort between her and Corwin, but I don't feel like we ever actually elaborated on that.
No, we did not.
So I would have liked to have some more there.
But
I also would have appreciated maybe like a novella that just is that story.
Yeah, but they didn't know that much about Corbin and all of them because they had race history. Like they mentioned that a few times. That they like
the Order of the Bright Star though should know, right? Because they're all his direct descendants, so that information, and they're the ones that knew.
Yeah. True, but it did mention that like Storm come back to Corbin's grave and sat there till she died, and then that Coraline was never seen again. They just didn't know where she went, so they randomly found that.
First,
but that feels like important.
Pandemonium 89, I need you to be serious. I really do. Like, I really need you to strap in and be serious. Because you made a comment that said, calling Fritha a bad seed. Like, yeah, she killed your father, but no empathy. Girl, person, excuse me. How much empathy are you going to have with somebody who killed your there are no circumstances. There is no explanation. What do you mean?
I think the thing with Fritha is that we know that the reason why she is the way she is because her babies were killed. Her baby was killed by the Benalim, but nobody else knows that. apart from her and maybe the people closest to her. She's not going to Dram, unless it was in another book where she told him kind of like what happened. As far as everybody else is aware, she's a bad person doing bad things, and they don't really know why she's doing it.
Well, also, Drim was very empathetic. I mean, he literally was, I would say, had a very serious crush on her and put himself and his father in danger and in a time of dread to save her and rescue her to his literal own peril. So I do think that when you have extended yourself to that degree and that person clearly doesn't want that, and then they kill your parent, the only parent you've ever really known, and then chase you across the known lands, trying to kill you and your pals and collecting demons along the way. I do think saying she's a bad seed probably is underselling it, but it's a perfectly valid response to being the demon's bride and copulating
baby mama. Don't forget. Baby
Come
mama
on.
to Asgard.
Do you guys think the baby survived?
Yes.
Oh,
I think
probably.
so, yeah.
That's a nice series.
The only moment that I really felt for her, like I didn't mind her perspective in this one, mainly because it was through her eyes that we saw what was happening with Azeroth. But I did really feel for her when she was like dying on the floor and she was just trying to keep herself alive to like save a baby.
Yeah.
Not enough. I kind of wish she just died and the baby as well, but like I understood why she was upset in that moment, and I was like, yeah, fair.
I really liked Frida. Or really liked her, so maybe a bit dramatic. But I was just like, you go for what you want, girl. Go you.
I like an
She
evil
got-
woman with conviction.
She
And
got
that's
Shadow Daddy.
I just really want to know, like, why John Gwynne made Azeroth so sexy. Like, he's
Because
the
he's
only
Shadow
person
Daddy.
who's ever described as being, like, really hot. Like, when he steps out of the cauldron in The Faithful and the Fallen, it's like he's got long flowing silver hair and, like, big black boots. And then, I should have tabbed it. There was a moment in here where it's essentially, like, he's covered in blood on the battlefield and he, like, stands up with his sword in his hand and he smiles. And I was like, if Daddy's so evil, why Daddy's so sexy? Tell me that. We don't describe like Miko like this. We don't have any like the Benalim, like they're not particularly attractive, but Azeroth.
Honestly,
That's
the audiobook, because I was mostly reading the audio with the text, and the audiobook did not do him any favors. Like
Michael's voice in the audio, heinous. I mean, it's given Sesame Street. Terrible. Terrible. The Cataclysm set up that arranged mirrors because they didn't actually think it would happen. Nobody thought that it would happen. They did not think that
I don't know why it did.
wayward girl from the White Wings who have been scorned, who was like, I'm a witch, I'm gonna find a way. Nobody actually believed that she was going to be able to raise him and get him out of that situation. What they needed was something to rally behind and to have some eternal promise that they didn't really have to deliver on to motivate these people to join their cause, to motivate them to figure out how to make their numbers larger, because that was always the benefit that the Benalim had over the Cataclysms, that there were so much more of them. And they had the White Wings, so they needed to build their own army, and you build your own army through idolatry and through getting people to believe in things you don't necessarily have to deliver on, because we're waiting. I am a Christian, but like we're waiting on Jesus to come. It's been thousands of years, and people are going to wait 1,000 more because of this faith. And so when you have this faith, you can hold all these hopes on it, but then actually when the day comes, and I was like, who promised my hand in marriage? What? I mean, I guess.
But was I the only one who was like, Azeroth was a bit like disappointing to be like the one evil? Like, he didn't do that
I
much.
did think that, because in terms of like, I didn't think like he was that superpowered, because he had the earth magic, which I don't think the other Kadashim did, but then the giants have the earth magic, so it's not like he's the one person in all of the world that can use this magic. And like battle skills, if he wasn't wearing the like Starstone vest, he would have been dead 100 times just by like the regular warrior characters that we had. Like, I think Afra nearly killed him, one of the Benalim nearly killed him. Like, so many people could have got a sword through him if it wasn't just for that vest saving his life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm like, he's like the big bad, right? And then they just like banded together and then killed him. I'm like, why couldn't just Corbin and the others do this in the last series? It's a bit like,
I do have to say I did love that. Like, that whole like montage.
Yeah, like it looks
Of
cool, like
them, like,
visually, but in theory, I'm like annoyed because I'm just like they could have done this in the last series where there were even cooler warriors than these. But we had Varadis.
oh, true. We did have Varadis. We had people like Varadis and like Macquin in the last series that like were warriors, and Camlin as well, like was a hunter. But I think our core characters like Corbin and Corwin and stuff, like they were only accidental warriors. Like they were kind of trained, but they weren't like seriously trained. Like Corbin does all of his warrior training, but then realistically they're a land that's been in peace for a long time. It's never really been tested in like a serious way, and it's never really expected to be tested. And Corwin kind of had to train herself. Most of the training that they do is actually on the road during the course of the series, whereas like Riv is a White Wing. She's been trained to be a warrior her entire life, and they actually do have a threat that they face because they go out and they hunt the Kadashim. So all of our characters, I feel like in this series, are generally just more skilled than
Maybe, but Corbin did train for many years though with the Gar.
But also he never got a chance to get to Azeroth because as soon as he came out, he was fighting with Mikkel, and then he was covered in metal. So they didn't, and then they just kind of like, unless they melted the Starstone and set him free, they couldn't kill him.
One of the reasons I felt like a bit like I get lackluster in the ending is because I like an ending where it comes something else into play, like a plot twist, you know, like Sanderson does. It's not as it seems kind of ending. A bit like of a twist on it, but it was very much like, oh, they killed him, and then it was over, and I was like, okay, you know. But maybe that's just what I like in books in general.
I think a distinction we might be forgetting also is that everyone involved in the killing had Starstone weapons this time, because that when the Starstone encasing Michael and Azeroth shattered, they collected it up and then they were making weapons out of it. So it's not just he was being felled by any old sword or any old arrow. Like they specifically had, these were the ones that were made with Starstone, and they had some earth magic on them and all these things in addition to being immortal. But this is one of those cases, kind of like this happens in fantasy and horror, where the unknown is always more powerful, more scary, more whatever than the reality. So like Elion, for example, could still seem all, and does in a lot of ways until we found out that a lot of it was made up, all powerful, all knowing, or whatever. Azeroth also seemed a lot scarier until we actually saw him on the page, and he has desires and he has moods or whatever, like a regular person, versus when he was just off in the ether, he seemed larger. Kind of, I think that's kind of what happens with Lord of the Rings and Sauron and all that. It's like this evil, and it's not completely revealed to you. It just seems scarier.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is a massive red flag to me, and I actually cannot believe that they've done that.
I know, me too.
Like how, like why didn't you collapse it after you were done? Like what are you doing? What is this? Like just open up a gateway and then just leave it there and be like, it's okay, we're gonna guard it. And I'm like, okay, but you were gonna guard those much safer statues that you didn't think, like you didn't even know if they were alive in there, and you were gonna guard those, and like look what happened there. So this to me just seems very unsafe.
I don't know if she had the power, but also they didn't think that the Benelim were bad. Like at that time, it was all believed that the Benelim were angels, and they were so benevolent, and they were here to help and save things. So it's like, yeah, the angels come through. Why not? And now it's like, oh, we know better. Y'all have got to go too, because you are also part of the problem.
I also don't think that they could have made them go back, because the only person who could have made them go back was Brina, and wasn't Brina dead at this point?
Yeah,
because they were like, there was 300 who.
Maybe they just didn't have the knowledge, to do it at that time, and years of research led them to write the book, and then there we are.
Drim,
because they had that book as well, and we don't know where the spell came through for the book. Maybe that was what Corwin and Coralyn were working on after they found out that the Benelim were not doing good things for the world. This is what we needed to know at the end of the book about the book that they found and what they were doing with it.
There was no training montage because all of this happened while he was growing up. Like in the book 1, we spent a lot of time with them in the is it the Desolation, perhaps I think is what they call it. It's over 6 months out of the year. Him and his father, just 2 people, are alone in the wilderness with all the creatures and whatever to survive. So you become, there's a lot of tools of the trade, obviously, with killing and trapping wild animals and skinning them, as well as being in those close quarters and having only ourselves to survive on. So the same way, like if we were following a soldier or whatever, and they had been whatever for 20 years, we wouldn't see them learning how to put the gun together, learning how to do this. It is assumed that because they've had this experience, this is why they can do X, Y, and Z.
We did also have a training montage for Drem, did we not, when he went to the Order for the first time and he joined like the big sword dance that they do.
Mhm.
I don't like this.
But then I do remember, because one of my criticisms of A Time of Blood was that he goes from where he's from all the way to the Order, and then he has his training montage at the Order, and then gets all the way back across the map, like within the space of that like one book. Because I was like, there's no travel scenes, like all of the, like it seems like people are jumping around a little bit because of how quick they're like moving about. So yeah, I think that he had a little bit of a training montage when he got there for the first time as well. I mean, I think this portal is a terrible idea. And maybe that's why they didn't do it. I don't understand why they didn't. If they have the power to melt down the weapons and put the gate together, don't they have the power to dismantle? Wait, isn't this what Corwin did? Didn't they create the gate in Wrath, and then everyone came out, and then they collapsed the gate and melted it? Where did the Kadashim and the Benalim come from in the first place? Wasn't that through the gate?
The cauldron?
They came out of the cauldron.
Yeah.
Oh, they came, which was made out of the metal, right?
Yeah.
And then they melted the metal in the casing. So I actually don't know why they've left the gate up, because they banished everyone that they're going to banish, like forcibly banished. So assumedly there is no way that there can be any Benalim or Kadashim in the world right now. Therefore, having that gate open is just a massive risk.
I feel like maybe it wasn't certain, because even us as the reader, when we have all these different perspectives, for a long time, we didn't know that there were this like subclass of half-breeds that had actually been living in the world this entire time. We just didn't know about them. We thought Riv was the first until it was revealed that she wasn't. So the same way the Benalim have been sowing seeds all across the Banished lands. You know, they had rounded up as many as they could, but just like the giants, this whole two different subcultures of giant that they thought were just, you know, extinct from the world, had not been seen in however long, were actually just hiding in the rocks. So maybe it's like we're not 100% sure, and we don't have the power to close this and then open it again. So as a contingency.
I thought we were going to see the Vintalum, like, you know, the pirates again. But
Oh, yeah.
no, it's got the dragons, and not dragons, the giants with the dregs, which came out of nowhere. Where did they come from? What part of the land did they come from?
They came on ships as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
On dregs.
Yeah.
That one bit did come a little bit out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I do think that this, I don't know. I feel like this series is a very different approach to The Faithful and the Fallen, because it's like The Faithful and the Fallen had such a big cast, and it was like so much of it was very slow. Like I can't remember which book it was, but do you remember where we were saying it was essentially just like an old man questing book? Like it was the three older men characters just alternating between their perspectives as they're just wandering around in the wilderness. Like a lot of it. And there's one more book, and all of the books are so much longer. Like it feels very intentional to have stripped back the perspectives to only 4 and had the books be so much shorter, because it's almost like a different style, because you could not say, there is no way that you could say that The Faithful and the Fallen was rushed. But in this one, I can say like there's actually like things seem abridged, or like we could have done with more information on this here. Or like what we're saying now is like, well, why can they make the arch when they couldn't make the arch in the first place? If they could melt the cauldron, why can't they melt the gate? Like, I feel like this kind of thing is stuff that we should know at this point in the series. But then I do remember as well, like we always said, like we didn't have enough information about the magic of the world. And I think that I definitely would have appreciated that in this series when it came into play so much in that final battle that they had.
I started reading The Faithful and the Fallen. I read the whole series started reading in 2020, which is right after A Time of Courage came out. And at that point, there was a lot of discourse around, like, if you really like book 1, like the first series, wait a while before you read the second series because it's not the same. And a lot of people are going to go into it expecting the second series to be like another version of the first, and it isn't. Similarly to like a Mistborn Era 1 and Mistborn Era 2, like they're set in the same world. There's some continuation of the magic, but it is not the same type of story. And similarly in that series where it's like the people that we knew, the Mistborns or whatever, they're somewhat myth. They are a lot farther removed from that story, whereas like we're not constantly looking for these Easter eggs or these moments where this is how this is connected to this. And there was I think that this is part of because these were being published and written at a very rapid pace. If you look at like the publishing schedule very consistently, that some of the feedback that he was getting, or like the reviews and the discussion around, oh, it's too long, it's too slow, we don't like how many characters there are from one series to the next. Like each book is more and more POV. All of these are criticisms that were kind of taken in and I think applied to this series. Because if you think about those popular critiques that there are of The Faithful and the Fallen, most of them are kind of absent here in like a different style of story. So I meant to say this in a spoiler.
I also feel though that those criticisms have now become the hallmark of the series. Like the thing that everybody knows about The Faithful and the Fallen is that it has so many perspectives. Like that's the one thing that you're told like before you go into it. And I understand obviously taking the feedback, but then it doesn't seem like, because as far as I'm aware, The Faithful and the Fallen performed quite well in sales. Like it's the kind of thing where he didn't have to, this is me assuming, have to do anything in particular, you know, like to pacify editors to get published again. Like I would assume that the sequel series was a pretty much done deal and that he had, you know, like more leniency, like more popular authors have, where they don't have to do everything their editor says and stuff to like fit in with the publishing. So I think it's interesting because it makes it like it almost makes it, like you said, a completely different series to the first one. Because stylistically, it's just very, very different. Something that I did like that was different about this one, though, is that The Faithful and the Fallen is very much just a, like, not regular, but, like, it's just a very solid, very standard epic fantasy series. Whereas the Of Blood and Bone has, like, those horror elements that we talked about in the first one. We have, like, the vampiric species coming in. We have I wouldn't say that The Faithful and the Fallen has any, like, key themes out of the ordinary that you could like tie to modern society. You know, like it's not really critiquing our society in any big way. It's a very like standard fantasy series, whereas this one talks about like abuse of power and like systemic abuse within like institutions and religion and things like that. Which is very, very different from The Faithful and the Fallen, and I appreciated those changes, but I don't think I loved the change in the like storytelling stylistically. I wish it would have been more, the way that the story was told was more similar to The Faithful and the Fallen series.
Well, I wish he took the feedback about explaining the magic system and going through
okay. Now I'm about to strap in. So, I don't know. I feel like there was one specific set of clips that went live from this like discussion at Worldcon with like George R. R. Martin, Brandon Sanderson, Robin Hobb. I think Ryan Cahill was on there, and they were talking about like magic and magic systems and the old school 90s. I was like, we don't magic system. It does what it does because it's magic. If I explained it to you and it had all these rules and it was outlined, then it would be science. It's not magic. Magic is magic.
And then Brandon Sanderson like threw his towel in and was like,
I do think there are different types of fantasy stories. Like I think specifically this group has read a lot of classic fantasy, and a lot of classic fantasy, they have softer magic. Like the magic just does. It just is. It is like, if you think about the wit or the skill, like there might be some, but in general, it kind of just does what it needs to do.
But we eventually found out why we have the wit and the skill and exactly where they came from and why people have them. Yeah,
just in general.
Yeah, but after 7 books, we at least were going in the right direction because we got the ships and we found out about the ships in books 3, 4 to 6.
She also had to plan that out. She kind of was
fight
crazy, but that she was able to do that. But just an example, like every magic that you have is not intricately detailed explained. It is just a function to serve the story. And I caution y'all. Bloodsworn Saga is more similar to this than it is to the first series. Most people typically prefer one over the other. The first It's a little bit shorter, at least those first books. It's a lot more battle heavy because it's Norse. That's all they do is fight. Every perspective is a fighter. So I want y'all to strap in.
Like, I agree that like not every magic system needs to be explained in detail. It doesn't need to be like rules like with Mistborn, for example. But it needs to be a bit like Becca said earlier, like why can I melt this and not melt that? Why can I create this but not take it down again? Like those sort of things.
Like if you find a book,
yeah,
tell me what the book is. I'm assuming what the book is, but tell me what the book is, you know?
Yeah.
It's not
Like
like
we just got the meaning of the title, and that was it.
We went to the moon in the 60s, but we don't have the technology to go to the moon now.
But that feels like conspiracy theories to me.
But I mean, in the world of the story, this could also be a conspiracy theory. Like, I think most of us here at least have read one book in Mistborn Era 2, and they're like, there's no way one single person could move all the metals. That is not possible. Like, you're lying. This story is made up. Sure, this would happen, but there's no way there was these people who could do this. There's no way these things happen, and we were there. So, like, I do know for a fact that this happened. But times change, people change, abilities change. The old ways were lost, and they had to be refound by a young girl who was scorned, which is of course how they got refound.
I find it interesting because I feel like the Bloodsworn Saga is his more acclaimed series. Like people like that one a lot more, but then The Faithful and the Fallen seems like more, I don't know, like the people who've read of The Faithful and the Fallen and of Blood and Bone, I feel like not a lot of people prefer of Blood and Bone, but then so many people prefer like the Bloodsworn Saga. So I think that's interesting.
He was already essentially he was already popular. Like the Bloodsworn book 1 came out in 2021. So at that time he was already a very well established and very well respected fantasy author. And if you think about it, like you could not have jumped into the Banished lands with the second series. So you'd have had to go back to book 1. And people don't like to do that as much versus like here's a completely new world and a completely new series that's coming out right now. Let me jump in right here and read this and talk about it. Then, oh, now if I like that, then I have 7 books more. And then also, I think I packed most of them away, but the first book, also the covers are much better. Let's start there. The covers are much, much better, but also it's much shorter.
First book, I have read the first one, but I didn't love it, but I also didn't like Faith on the Fallen the first time I read that either, so I'm hopeful to like it more now.
Yeah, the covers are a lot better, which does sell. And then the first book, which is I read it, I had a whole interview with this man about this book. What is it with the dragon on it? The Shadow of the Gods is a lot shorter than Malice,
but there's only 3 POVs in that one, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm excited about that one because I'm excited about the woman that everybody loves,
Orca.
You don't look pleased.
That series.
How do you feel about that series in comparison to The Faithful and the Fallen?
I don't like it as much as The Faithful and the Fallen. Like I gave Malice and whatever the book is called the same rating, but I felt a lot stronger about Malice. But I feel like especially Sandra has recently learned a lot about me, and that's the type of character is like my kryptonite, a Corbin type of character, a Bletta, a Fitz. That really works for me. Versus we're following a thrall, we're following a soldier woman whose son has been taken. This is in a synopsis, I'm not spoiling. And then we also follow this young girl who is the daughter of a jarl who leaves her families to go find her battle fame elsewhere where she's not the daughter of a jarl. I don't like Norse in general as much as literally anything else.
I'm mainly worried about Norse mythology because I don't love it, but then I haven't read very good Norse mythology books, so
I'm a bit tired of Norse mythology because I feel like everyone was just like, let's write Norse mythology, and I'm like, I get it.
They had to give up Greek. It was oversaturated. So
yeah.
This one's a lot more emotional.
I mean, sure, because the motivation of one of the characters is my son was stolen out from under me, and I'm on a mission to go find him, i.e. Liam Neeson's taken.
But then I feel like that is kind of just like a reverse of what The Faithful and the Fallen and A Blood and Bone is, which is my dad died and I need to avenge him.
Somebody's always dying. Why don't you want to just be bad? Because I can't. That's why I hate. I didn't like him, but I respected it there. I'm gonna take over the world because I can. Why not? Why not?
That's what Jane did. That's what Jane did.
We'd be here complaining that there's no motivation. The author didn't write a motivation.
Fridging, but fridging is a great motivator. I'm sorry, it really is. Daryl colonized a solar system because they killed his wife, his child bride. Okay, come on.
King. Daddy. Who was everyone's favorite character in this book specifically? And I'm not going to go first because I don't really know.
Yeah.
It's like Drem, Bleda, really. Those two.
Drem, I wasn't a fan of Drem in this one as much as the others.
I think it's just because
He was my favorite in the first two.
Oh my god.
We loved him so much. And then
okay, I'll go with Friend.
Oh yeah.
But this name,
corny name.
I hated the name.
Corny.
I
That
did
was
like
great.
I did.
point of view.
It was funny though how he named his bear the same way that Corbin named everything, where it was just like, oh, this random word just popped into my head. That's the one that we'll go with.
I hated Cullen. Oh, I hated Cullen so much.
Oh, I liked him in this one. I liked him in this book. I didn't really care about him in the first two, but I liked him in this one.
He's always getting.
I liked the bit at the end. What does he say at the end? That's really funny.
I didn't like Cullen until we got like a little bit of insight to his insecurities, and then I liked Cullen.
Dram gave Corbin vibes. Yeah, that's why I didn't like him.
I don't mind the jokiness, but I felt like almost at every opportunity, Cullen put the rest of the group in danger unnecessarily. Oh, yeah. And I'm just like, in a situation where the whole world is against us, we don't have to invent and invite new trouble because the trouble is behind us, in front of us, and literally on every side.
Right at the end of the battle, when they're all looking at Azeroth, he says, got to admit, he was hard to kill. Good fight, though. I was like, fair enough. Like, literally everyone is dead, but okay. Yeah, I liked that. I don't know. I thought he was fun. I liked the camaraderie. I liked his and Drem's relationship, I think, which we got to see the most in this because they only met right at the very end of the first book. So they didn't know each other very much through the second. That's kind of where they built their friendship. But like seeing it come into fruition in here, I enjoyed. And I liked the little squad that we had. I also really liked, actually, one of my favorite things about this. It is a little bit cheesy, but the way that all of our main character perspectives kind of formed a little crew. So, like, when they were killing people, they were doing it together. That was fun.
Except that he didn't get to kill people because he died.
He killed a bunch of people when they had the arrows, and they were letting them sing on them, okay? And he brought the giants, and he reunited a whole family. That is my favorite character, obviously. I think that's very clear. I also loved Reeve. Reeve, queen of my heart. Love her. Also hated Jen. Oh, I actually probably hated Jen more than I hated Cullen because it was just so unnecessary and so childish. You're mad that he killed your dad. You killed his mother. Same thing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of her perspective was just illustrating how she was a bad reader. Go ahead.
I literally wrote down saying, like, you killed his mom and he killed your dad. It should be even by now. What is this?
And really,
I hated that we had a perspective.
You're actually mad because he didn't want you because he wanted the dirty. What did you call it? She called Reeve a whole bunch of names, but he was kissing her in the woods, honey. And you were like, oh, my betrothed. You were down so bad. He did not want you at all because you were annoying. You were a chore.
Did we have a perspective in the last book, or was she new for this one?
Just for this one. Too much.
I don't think that we needed her because, like, Fritha had a purpose in that she was providing a perspective that we didn't have. Jin was just providing an opposite perspective to Bleda, and she spent the whole book chasing him, so I don't think we needed both.
No.
Yeah, I think the only reason we really got it was because when Bleda and Jin broke away from the group, and they were in the horse lanes, like getting the people together. That was the only way we really saw it, what was going on from her perspective. But her character, I know some people, it's just like a comical villain.
Yeah. When they were in the horse lands, I was like, are we Dothraki?
Yes, every horse people.
I mean, yeah.
Or arrows are Dothraki to me.
Exactly.
Well, because the Dothraki are the Mongolian Empire led by Genghis Khan. So, yes, all horse lords are Dothraki, aka the Mongolian Empire. So, as far as I'm aware, anyway, I guess Genghis Khan is just like the most popular one. But
also, there was this really cute romantic scene where Bleda was on a horse and they were on a field or whatever, and Jen is flying. Not Jen. Lord have mercy. Riv is flying. He's flying hard. She's trying to get to him, and she sees him, and so she is diving down to get him. And the people around him are like, "Hold on, now, let's pull the bows back because we don't know what that could be." Because also the Benevolent aren't necessarily on our side. And she's like, "Nah, that's my man." He's like, "That's my girl." He lifted his arms up. And she just picked him up, flies into the sky.
I miss them. Rip. Just like Fidel and Marquin. Rip.
oh, that was the worst, man. I'm still upset about that. I think about that regularly, actually, and I'm so mad that Fidel died. I'm
not
so
mad that Marquin
surprised.
died?
Well, no, because when Fidel died, I knew it was coming, and also as one of like the older, more experienced characters, like I always had it in the back of my head that like Quinn was going to be a goner, but I assumed that he would be the one that like managed to like do everything he needed to do to live happily ever after with Fidel. And when she was dead, I was like, it's game over for Quinn. Like he's not going to live through this. Somebody I'm surprised that lived through this is Byrne. Like from the beginning, I was like, Byrne is gone. In this book, like Byrne has to be one of the people who dies.
She couldn't have
But
died.
no.
That would have been too much for Dram. Like he literally thought he had no family left. You found one person and then you kill him.
Nobody else gets to have any family. Everybody else family. Who has parents left? Everyone had parents to start out apart
now
from Cullen.
parents. Now in a fantasy book, parents is a lot. But a cousin.
Well, what about Gar?
Thirteen.
Gar wasn't a real parent. Gar died. Gar and Brina. Corbin lost his real parents. He thought he lost his sister, and then he lost Gar and Brina.
Well, he kept his sister, and that was a good deal. And his girlfriend. He kept his sister and his girlfriend.
I would have traded his sister for Brina. Actually, Brina was one of my favorites. Sorry.
Afra didn't die, right? Or did she? No, she did die.
No, she did. Afra died.
Yeah. It was a little underwhelming when she died, honestly.
She lost two mothers and technically her father as well, though she's not pressed about that.
She lost both of her mothers. She lost the theory of her father. Her father was a rat bastard who killed her, the love of her life, killed him. Okay? And now she's got nothing. That's also why Bleda hurt more. Because I felt like all the other kind of like duos, whether they were romantic or like friend-wise, they kind of got to stay together. But Riv, I think, lost the most.
Yeah. I agree.
That's true.
Like the scene in the end where they were told Riv, where it was like, you don't want your father's death on your hands, and then they just killed him. I thought that was a good one.
I love that.
I love
great.
that too. It was a really good scene. It was probably one of my favorite scenes.
Good old
Like,
craft.
yeah.
Oh, everything.
Another like small moment that I loved was when they had Sig's, was it her hammer? Was it her sword? I think it was her sword. And they were trying to figure out what to do with it. And then Valor One Eye picked it up.
I am also shocked that it was Eflin that died and not Bala. I thought we were going to lose Bala, but I'm so glad that we didn't lose Bala or Alcyon. Where was Alcyon through that entire last battle, actually?
Reuniting with his family. They were making a new giant baby.
His family were fighting. Everyone was going back to Tin, who had the crows. Rhaena was on the front lines with the rest of the giants. Where's Alcyon?
I was going to say, I have fought literally all my life. I'm chilling. I'm okay. Y'all got it. My wife is here.
He said to his wife, I'm so sorry that I left you. I should have stayed with you. But damn, my back hurts. I'm going to sit this one out.
Yeah. For our son. He doesn't, in case, lose two parents. Another moment I really liked, there's so many small moments, like where Kraft is like literally ancient. They literally like carrying him. And he was like, let me out. I'm going to go get him. I'm going to go get my son. And they were like, we promise we're going to go get him. They didn't go get him. We promise, like, we're fine. We're going to send the kids out or whatever. But you stay here, okay?
Hey. That was really cute. I expect him to give him more shit than she did, though. The way that she was like, I can't talk about my husband. I don't want to talk about him. I thought that he was gonna be in trouble when they reunited.
Well, I mean, it's been like 130 years, so clearly, maybe the anger has simmered, and we're just back to like missing.
I tell you, if my husband said that he'd stay and then he was like, "No, I can't be bothered. I'm going home." Like that would be the bitterness would be just like building, and the more years he leaves it, the more angry I'm getting.
Keep in mind now, your husband let himself be enslaved, okay, and work as a slave for centuries to keep you and your child. I feel like that buys you quite a long grace period, you know.
Mm. One of my favorite moments was Kraft just chilling in the tree. Like it was Cole. Cole killed him. Cole was the one who killed him. He said there was a can full of babies, and then he killed him. And then Cole was like, "You're gonna believe a crow over me?" And everyone was like,
"Yeah,
absolutely."
I love one of my favorite things that John Gwynne does. He does this like mentor-mentee dynamic that typically is like masked in a father-son but not father-son dynamic, and we got to see that with Bletta, and his name starts with an E. What is it? So many E names. But the soldier of his that had went to the driftwood with him ended up losing his arm, but he was like his number one guy. It was the way he protected him, the way he did not play about him, and just their dynamic. And he's like, I know, I may not have earned your respect. And they're like, absolutely not. Like, we would go to the ends of the earth. We would gladly die for you. And then to Elak, yes. And then for Elak to have leave him, he was like, you could see that hesitation. He didn't want to leave, but this is his king. He's telling him what to do. And in theory, Cole is our ally. Sickening.
The minute
the
minute he had the spear, I was like, something's gonna happen here because I don't trust Cole.
I didn't 100% get why Cole killed them.
Because he's evil Batman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was just like,
why he killed Bletta? It was because he threatened to. Essentially, he was like, "I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to let the assembly do it. Try you." And Cole was like, "Well, I'm going to be found innocent." And he was like, "No, you're not, because I'm going to tell everyone what you've done." So he was like, "Well, I'll just kill you then."
But also, when you're alone with the baddie, it isn't the thing to say, I'm going to bring you to justice. I'm going to,
He also just thinks that he's so above humans that nobody's going to punish him for killing one. And he doesn't care about Riv. I mean, we knew that. She maybe had some illusion that he maybe cared about her a little bit because he'd done his whole if you join with me, everything will be good. But we knew that he didn't care about her, and that just proves it because he didn't even hesitate. He didn't even stop and think that it was the person that his daughter cared about. I also think that the half Benalims that have been under the order, I think that because only one of them is actually a half Benalim, I think the rest of them are the children that have stemmed from that family line. But I think that that's Cole's as well, because all of them are Cole's, all of the one that we've seen.
I was just about to say, Cole, maybe Riv isn't alone in the world, because I'm sure she's got 20 half siblings out in the world. Because I feel like every few chapters we found out somebody else was somehow came from Cole's seed.
Had we known that Fritha's dead child was Cole's?
Yeah. We found it out in the second book.
Okay.
She said that as well in this one. It was somewhere near the end because I read it today. She said when she saw him, she was like, I loved him once, but I hate him now.
Yeah.
And she was even hurt even more so when she saw Reeve, because it was, and she was like, somebody, Afra, had the strength to do what I couldn't, which was not kill my baby, which was not, protect her, whatever. And finding out that she was Cole's daughter actually also made that worse for her. It was like, that could have been my child. Obviously not, because your child would have been maybe 5. But
unless it was said somewhere else, Byrne said that they didn't know who his father was. And that's all of the information that I remember on it. But I'm assuming that it's him. Well, I think what Byrne said was that the woman, his mother, came to the order and then she never told them who it was, so they didn't know. And obviously, unless she told the kid, he's grown up away from there, so he'd never know who his father was. But I just assumed that it was him because all of the rest of them are his.
I do think it's multiple of them that are like full half breeds. Because I'm sure it's like, okay, if you just get to the order, like if you don't want to go to the cottage, the bad cottage, not the good cottage from each rival. If you want to go to the bad cottage and leave your baby in the field, you get to the order.
I do like the found families. I like that he does found families and like camaraderie and brotherhood really well. I also like the animals. I do think that I like and dislike that there is an element of both of these series that are gentle. Like, Keld dies, one of his hounds dies, and that almost gives the other one immunity. Like, Friend wasn't going to die because Drem had like lost too much. So we have some casualties like Storm almost died, but didn't die. Like there's an animal lover in John Gwynne, and it like really shows. So I like that obviously because I don't want to have the pain. Like I don't want to see Friend die, but then it almost makes them feel safe, and I know that nothing's going to happen to them. And like how the Hound got the moment where did he kill Morn?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and it was like this whole big deal because Morn was the one that killed Keld. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about those moments. Like I appreciate them, but then I'm also like, they almost have plot armor at this point, a lot of them.
But they get hurt. They might not die, but they do get hurt. Like Hammer, somebody that was giving Hammer the business. When Bella, when I was riding her and they strapped her in, and then they had all those holes in the field, and I'm like, y'all not thinking. And then there's a scene where the horse almost fell on her. Was it him? Yeah, they almost fell on her. So like they're getting hurt. But I also think, especially with like the being superfication of the internet, there is a point where it's like you hurt too many animals, the girls are gonna come after you. They're gonna send Peter to your house, and it's gonna be like it's animal cruelty. You're an animal abuser, even though they're not real.
I do want Hob suffering, but there was an element like I feel like Robin Hobb did walk that line really well, of being like obviously an animal lover and not necessarily portraying suffering for the sake of it, but then also like a realistic approach. And we see that. I can't spoil because this is not an Elderling Long live show, so I can't spoil that. But there is discussions that are had within the book of the human wanting to preserve the life of like the animal, and the animal being like, this is not how it works, like this is nature, and like all things come to an end, like you can't interfere with that. So I feel like Robin Hobb did like walk that line really well, whereas this, I'm glad that it's gentle on the reader because I don't want to have to deal with that, man. Like that's when in the beginning of Malice, when Corbin sends Storm away because they say that he can't have a wolf, I text Aaron and was like, okay, spoil this for me. And I'm being deadly serious. Like, tell me whether Storm comes back. Like, does she die? Like, what's the tea? What's going on? Because I need to know to read this series. Like, that's not something that I can just find out later on. Like, I need to know. But then also, like, it's more emotionally impactful, obviously, when you do have the other balance of that. Who was everyone's saddest death? I know we all weren't, like, I didn't cry throughout the series at all, but who Ed Bledder again? Yeah. Okay.
Bledder, my baby.
Ethelyn was pretty sad though.
Ethelyn was sad for me. I was sad for everyone who died that was a character that we'd had since The Faithful and the Fallen.
Yeah.
But Keld was, I think, my saddest one.
Keld was pretty sad.
Because I only realized that I really cared about him when he died.
Rip Sig.
Like,
I loved. She went out. It was so badass.
I think I would have been really upset. Like, Sig was my favorite character in the first book, so I think if she'd have died later in the series, then that would have upset me a lot more. But I do tend to like the older characters more, I think, in series like this, like the older mentor warrior type characters, because I think I liked Sig, I liked Keld, I loved Byrne, but that is because I always pictured Byrne as Gwendolyn Christie, so that I became quite attached to her. Whereas the younger characters, it's like I liked Drem, and he was my favorite character for the first two books. Bledder became more interesting to me in this one specifically, but I think if any of the main characters would have died, I wouldn't have been like the kids. I wouldn't have been super upset about it.
Bledder's death was the one that hit me the hardest, but I misspoke. I said Bledder's dead. No, I meant Drem is dead. Dren's dad
Oh.
death was very sad.
That was
Yeah.
sad.
I think that's partially because of Drum's perspective, because I think it is confirmed, isn't it, that he's on the spectrum. And so he has an element of naivete about his perspective, and like I think the way that he builds relationships with people is very innocent and trusting. Like he forms very strong bonds, and the bond that he had with his father, and the way that he viewed his father, and the way that that was severed, I think is why that death was so emotional for
I
me.
think
Well, that
just
was a
because
really
he
sad
was
one.
his whole world.
Because he'd taken him out into the desolation as well, so it's not like they had a big family or anything like that.
And it's, we have obviously the contrast, which we have in a lot of John Gwynne books, of like an amazing father in Odin who's doing everything he can to protect his son and died to protect his son, versus we have a shit dad like Cole, who was literally actually purposely killing his children, and things like that. And so we also get to, in this, it's kind of a weird thing, because in that same vein, Drum is learning more about his father. He's learning his father is not, in fact, who he always thought him to be. He's an entirely different person. He's become this person to keep him safe from Cole specifically, and then dying in the process to save him.
At least the crows got to keep Kraft as a dad. You know what I mean? One dad didn't die.
Imagine Kraft as a dad.
I wonder.
It would be incredible.
I can't remember who it was who came. Was it Mikkel who was like, "How are you still alive?" And he's like, "That's a secret."
Yeah.
Also, Mikkel and Rev's friendship is so cute. He's like, it's me and you. Wherever you go, I go. Like, whatever we need to do, we can stay together. And that's like the best and most positive relationship we've seen from a Ben and Liam or whatever. Even though, obviously he's had 136 years to get his act together, because we know he was a lying liar in the first series. So he's redeemed himself a little bit.
And he owns it. Like, he knows he made mistakes too, I feel like.
When he escaped and he was like, "Where's Corbin?
I know.
Yeah.
Where is he? Take me to him."
I would love to have this as a TV show. Like first Faithful and Fallen, and then this. I think it would be a great one with the battles and like just everything.
I agree, but I do also think that they'd have to heavily edit the storyline for it not to get cancelled because of how like slow of a build it is, which they did with Wheel of Time unsuccessfully.
Yeah, it needs to be a really good writer.
I feel like this show would be more like The Last Kingdom, the Saxon series with our Cornwell, than it would be like that, because there isn't that much magic that you can see in my eyes. So, and when we've spoken with him, he's a big fan of historical fiction like Clan of Golden and things like that. So a lot of medieval classic fantasy is like one hair removed from historical fiction. So I feel like that type of team could make something happen.
I'm kind of interested in that series because I really like The Last Kingdom, and I think I've discovered that because I like epic fantasy, I should be looking more at like historical epics as opposed to just fantasy as a genre, because there's types of fantasy that don't really work for me. But when I was interviewing Pierce Brown, I asked him what series he would recommend for fans of Red Rising, and he actually recommended the Sharp series by Bernard Cornwell, which I just like, I'm surprised he recommended the Sharp one.
I thought you were going to say Joe Abercrombie.
I can see that.
Oh no, he recommended that as well.
Yeah.
And you were like,
Tiger.
how dare
I was like,
you?
yeah, I love Abercrombie.
Did you say that?
No, well, I did say it. I said I read The Devils this year. That's about it. I love it for me too, Zaf. Highlight of my life.
The Last Kingdom, it used to be called the Saxon series, but because of like the popularity of the show, I think they've like rebranded it to being the Last Kingdom series. It's like a TV series on Netflix, and I want to say they're like 13 historical fiction books. They're relatively short. They're not very long.
They're pretty short.
But yeah, it's very.
And there's like there's a trio of like warriors in there that are like well, I don't know if it's the same in the book, but it is in the TV show, and they are like my
very hot is what she's getting.
Yeah, they're very hot. They're very, very hot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Big
Something
fan.
to add to my list.
I feel like the little one also has Severo energy as well.
So perhaps you might like it. And then watch like
He's
Vikings.
beautiful. He's my fan. I can't remember his name. He would be my fan cast for Cassian. 100%.
Mm.
Obviously, he's too old now, which is very sad, but
They can just CGI his
Beautiful
face
man.
like they did with
Uhtred, son of Uhtred.
Fury.
oh, yes. Destiny is all. Beautiful, man.
But yeah, if you think about like the fantasy books that only take place in a secondary world, and there's nothing else like magical, whatever, that's historical fiction. That's it.
Mm.
That's it.
I like I just like when I feel like I'll start reading historical fiction and I'll be like, but when does it get, where's the magic? When does the magic come in? Because obviously like a lot of the fantasy I read is more like, yeah. Because a lot of the fantasy I read is more along those lines of like, aside from Sanderson, like Game of Thrones doesn't have a ton of magic for the most part. Robin Hobb to start off with, very low magic. Not a lot of magic going on. Red Rising is sci-fi, but it could also, I feel like, if you took away the sci-fi, it'd still be pretty cool with the drama.
But you wouldn't have read it though, even if it was no.
Exactly, but this is
So-
what I'm saying. Like, I want to read the series because I feel like that I would like them. But we'll see. We'll see if I ever get there. Because I'm like, what's the intricacy going to be if it's not finding out the root of the magic system?
The intricacies is always a game of control and power and resources, and you know, there's always someone beautiful that's broken a heart and was promised to this person, and these people they're gonna come and they're gonna steal our resources because they're in a fuck ass land that doesn't have any resources, and so now I have to fight, or they killed my father, which is again frigid, such a great motivator. They killed my father, so now I will decimate your entire peoples. You will be a footnote in the halls of history when I finish with you.
Isn't that the plot of The Lost Kingdom? Is it his father?
Yes,
Well,
that's
there's a
what
lot
I'm
going on.
saying.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is.
And his uncle's evil. Yeah.
Or my parent died out at sea, and my relative was
Uhtred is your stinky sweaty man. I've put how you spell his name in the chat so that you can Google him. He's beautiful.
And now when it's time for me to come into my own, they try to kill me. And so now
Isn't every man in historical fiction stinky and sweaty actually?
every man and woman.
If it's realistic, probably.
The magic is that they're hot. That is the fantasy. Then they have all their teeth.
There's some good romance as well in The Last Kingdom. But and you know what? If you like a Fitz-like character, Uhtred is not that, but he has a hard life and everything horrible that could happen to him happens to him. Everyone he loves pretty much dies. He's a lonely, lonely man.
Sandra, is that not the story of Valen Alsorna?
Huh?
If Becca, if you like Fitz, you will love Valen from Bloodsong.
Yes, sorry. I didn't
Is
understand
that
what you
the
said.
Anthony Ryan one? See, but the problem is that I don't have that series by Anthony Ryan. I've got The Waking Fire, I think. I need to read that first.
No, but Bloodsong was released first.
Yeah, it was his debut.
Bloodsong
Okay,
is also a series, a sequel series. It's really good for Casual Book Club.
Oh, yeah. You were trying to sell me on this one.
Now,
and I was
Sandra
like, yeah, I'll
didn't
consider
love
that
it.
'cause I didn't know.
She didn't love it, but she read Melodies, and it's like I said, it's not as hard as everybody thinks it is.
I thought you meant she didn't like Bloodsong, and I was going to say, I'm
Oh, no,
sure I
she loved
scrolled through her favorite books video, and it was in there earlier.
Bloodsong,
You're
Bloodsong,
welcome.
yes, but now she
Yeah.
mentioned Malasa. We don't need to talk about that.
Which I said what I told her, she didn't love it, which is fine, but she was like, it's not nearly as like unapproachable or difficult as I may have thought it was, or people have made it seem. It's just a book. It's a book.
It's just a book.
But we could read Bloodsong.
Yeah,
That was really good. I feel like you would like it a lot, Becca.
She would.
Okay.
You would.
Okay. How many books is it? Like, because you said it's got a sequel series. How many in total for all series?
I want to say
It's
6.
Not bad.
The original trilogy, and then there's the is it Raven's Wing or Raven's Shadow something series.
Does Brent Weeks have any sequel series, or are they just individual series?
Yes.
Okay, so it is a trilogy, and then it is a duology, so it's 5 books.
Beautiful. We've got lots of options then.
Brent
The Blood
Weeks
Song.
has
Blood
the
Song, yeah.
Night Angel trilogy, which is the way of
And that's got a follow-up.
And
Yeah.
then what is it? Oh, I don't have my books. Night Angel Nemesis is the first book in the sequel series to that.
Beautiful.
But the other books are not.
Do we have anything to add on A Blood and Bone or the Banished Lands? This is our last Banished Lands live show
for now?
Yeah.
For now.
Well,
for a while.
when
Well,
he-
the new John Gwynne book is not going to be Banished Lands, so I think we're waiting like at least 3-4 years until we get another Banished
I'm
Lands
not
book.
even reading
I
it.
would assume.
My question is, if it comes another Banished Land book, would we read it at once, or we will wait till all of the ones in the series are out?
Probably at once. I've always we don't have any precedents here because it's never happened, but I've always said like when the next book released by the author is released, then we'll do like a one-off live show. But yeah, George R. R. Martin, haven't heard from him. Robin Hobb, still like she's still tapping away at those old keys on that.
Well, Joe did.
Who knows what he's doing because he doesn't have a plan. But it wasn't a first law book. It has to be a first law book.
Is it? Is it not though?
What, the Devils? The Devils reads like a first law book in that it's completely pointless and just vibes, but it isn't actually a first law book. Any predictions for the next book?
What do you mean?
No, because I don't
Banished
know.
Lands or Shadow of God?
You mean,
Maybe that's for the Banished Lands.
Yeah.
If it's the Banished Lands,
going to come back.
It's going to be set in the medieval era because there's an interview at the end of my newer copies of the book that says that if he revisited the Banished Lands, it would be another 100 to 200 years in the future, and he'd probably go into the medieval era of British history. So that's, I can predict that. The baby is going to be an issue. I feel like we would see the half-breeds because we don't know how long they live yet.
The half-breeds will also be an issue.
And the baby being the kid of a god probably has a long lifespan too.
Maybe we will actually see the other nice god, Ellison or whatever they're called.
He's never coming back.
I was actually thinking about this because Sandra said, like, didn't you find Azeroth disappointing? What makes Azeroth different from Kadashim? Like, why is he a god and not a Kadashim? Because, like, he doesn't have that much extra going on for him. Like,
yeah, he's just hot.
I mean, I guess it's the same difference between a duke and a king, essentially.
I mean, yeah, though, because I expected, like, but the difference between an angel and a god, like, that's because a god is, like, limitless in theory.
Yeah.
And angels, you know, they always get bad press. I was thinking last night, you know how vampires have made a comeback? I can accept that, but if we bring back fallen angels as love interests, I'm out. I'm deleting my channel. And do you know why I thought that? It was because of that scene where I think Riv and Bleda kissed and she wrapped her wings around him, and it gave me trauma flashbacks to like the Fallen series by Lauren Kate, and I was like, I can't live through that era again. So can we keep that one in 2010, please?
I disagree.
I can't.
That was a great era.
You know what? I would still die for Patch from the Hush Hush series, but I know I don't need to go through that again. I don't.
The good guy exists. He's just like he was done with the relationship and he left. He didn't circle back. He didn't need any closure. He said, I'm through with you. And he was actually done. That's it.
Yeah, that's what was a bit disappointing, that we didn't even see Elion at all.
Azeroth, I think, is actually doing all this because he hopes to get Elion's attention. He hopes to be bad enough and do enough that Elion comes back. But Elion said, I am done with you.
Oh my god. No, because
lover.
oh my god. But because if Elion did come back and that was actually the vibe, then it would be like Victor and Eli, it would be like Darrow and Cassius, and we already know that Azeroth is hot.
Hey, I see your eyes.
I would be here for that. Yes.
100%. That's why I was so disappointed. I was like, we could have had
I
this great
think-
women.
I think that the next series in the Banished line would either be a duology or a 4-book series. It's either or.
Oh, okay. Rogue
Hell,
prediction.
right now.
No, I just feel like now he's done 4 books, and then it will be 3 books, and then it will be 2 books. You know, then it's like a staircase.
A ladder. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, it'll be a standalone if we actually going ladder.
No, that standalone needs to come
true.
after the duology.
Mm.
The standalone would be
Maybe
about
the
the 2
standalone
gods
is like
getting
Elian
off.
and Azeroth.
Yes, yes. They will be
Y'all
about
are
that.
That's
great
great.
romance between
It will be
these
a standalone prequel about them getting off with each other.
But not written by John Gwynne. You can probably find that on AO3.
Sandra will always make her own ships wherever she can, even if the characters don't exist.
I do kind of agree, though, that I don't know if Elion exists, especially after having seen Azeroth and him being such a disappointment.
He
Like, what
exists
do you
in
mean? The
everyone.
only difference is he can do, like, earth magic.
He
So
People
can the
agree with
giants.
me in the comments.
in
People
some of
agree
his
with me.
like monologues. He references Elion, he references Corbin, he references Michael.
Okay, but everyone was rocking around referencing the prophecy of the bright star and the black sun, but that was bullshit.
Well, they were referencing it because it was propaganda. It was their propaganda they made. You gotta get it out there. You gotta spread the word.
John Gwynne would start
I don't
writing
know, man.
Romantasy, and it would be between Elion and Azeroth. Romantasy debut from John Gwynne. A
I
prequel
really
to the
appreciate
Banished
it.
Land.
Please throw romantasy the next era.
So many stories don't commit to that, and I appreciate it because the whole thing from the beginning is Elion abandoned the world. He abandoned it. He said he was disappointed by men. He said that's it. And he meant it. He never came back. Most stories feel the same.
But my thought is, Elion's the good guy, right? How
Not
can he be
still.
the good guy if he's like his role is to like balance Azeroth, and he just goes fuck everybody. Azeroth comes back to the earth, like to his creations that he created, and he was like, you know what, I can't even be bothered to intervene. Like, this is partially my fault. I created these creatures. I abandoned my post, but he can have them.
He locked Azeroth away, and the people of the world were just so damn determined to get him out. Okay. The thing is, if Azeroth, if Elion came back, it would have been the exact same thing that we had with the Venom and Catachamp, where if you have one, they the only enemy they have is the other. There's always tension because
Then they can kiss.
Let's end the show. Let's wrap it up. We're not gonna kiss, okay? We're
Then
gonna
they can
kiss.
kiss.
Elion is on a completely new planet, and he's got new people that are not disappointing him.
They need.
What if he'd have turned up and he would have been like, these Benalim are absolutely useless. Like, guys, I don't want you to think that they represent me because they're all awful, and I'm actually like a super cool baddie, and I'm really chill, and I'm gonna save you all.
He doesn't care.
Yes.
About the
And then they kiss.
Azeroth was doing a lot of
Word for word.
a lot of
John
his.
Gwynne needs to be jotting this down, word for word.
Elion's busy. Elion's on holiday.
Elion is waiting for Astro to come after him so that they can kiss.
No,
I talked about this when I was talking about the Lycanius trilogy, though. Like, I don't believe that Elion just left because you said that he did. I need proof that he just left. Otherwise, I'm always going to assume, especially when these people have proven that they're not trustworthy.
Then what makes you think Elion?
How do I know?
Well, you don't necessarily think that.
Maybe Elion's a woman because God is a woman. I mean, that's going to be the big reveal in the end.
But they can still kiss.
Maybe the next bookmark that I make for Catch Up Book Club should say, and then they kiss on it.
I don't think
It'll
so.
work for
back
any
off.
series.
Please, back
Yeah.
off.
But like there's this lore in some books where gods and like, especially this, I think happens a lot in like vampire books where they can kind of unmake themselves.
Mm.
They get so old that they become less not humanoid, but they become less, and they become this conscious. And we kind of also see that in Stormlight. If you think about like the Stormfather and Creation and some of those, they're not like physical beings. They exist. They're processed, whatever.
Maybe Alien is like turned into a tree. It's like a giant tree, and then I have to like open the tree to find Alien, and then they chop down the tree and kill instead. I don't know what I'm saying.
And then they kiss.
Yeah.
And then they kill. And then they make a ship out of the tree, and then you can ride that ship. And then they kiss.
Okay, live ship.
That's fun.
Not frothy. Frothy.
Who's frothy? Who's frothy?
I'm guessing.
Oh, this is another thing I would have liked a little bit more information on. Is Friend a special bear or just an unusually large bear? Why is he different from all of the other bears? Is he a magic bear?
He's a polar bear. That's it. He's a polar bear.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Wait, where did he come from?
The desolation, the great north. He's a polar bear, and they're brown bears.
Okay, but this is English myth, and I don't think, or British myth, and I don't think we have polar bears off the coast of Scotland.
You also don't have
That's
giants.
real, no. Maybe in mythology we did. Right, okay. This is what I mean. Right, I said in my last vlog, I'm incredibly gullible, okay? If you tell me this is a big white bear that's different from other bears, I'm like, well, this must be a magic bear. And unless you tell me it's just a polar bear, I'm not going to get it.
Okay. It's a polar bear. You know, Pangea, when all the continents were connected, so the polar bear literally just kind of strolled over.
But he's still special.
But it's still
It's a polar bear.
But bear still likes to eat people, even if it's polar bears. So it doesn't make sense why.
That is the best plot twist of this series. He's just a polar bear. It's funny because like I'm like literally the least whimsical person, but I'm both incredibly gullible and I have trust issues because I know that everything I read isn't true because there's going to be a plot twist. So then when the author's like, no, this is really, really true, I'm like, no, it's not. It's not true.
It's a liar.
You used to believe it.
Y'all really thought this was just a special white bear. At no point, what white bear do I know?
This is going to be the problem. The problem when I read historical fiction is going to be this. I'm just like, it's a magic white bear. And everyone's like, no, it's just a polar bear.
But why could a polar bear like be tamed? It doesn't make sense.
Why could the other
Well,
bear?
the rest of the bears are tamed. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say then it's still a bit magical.
Because they're magic bears.
Yes.
I did like that. Was that in this book at the beginning where he's just like, he takes all the honey off the healers in the middle of a war? Like they've just come out of battle and he's like, I'm going to need your honey. Honey is like, especially, I mean, even now they use honey to heal burn wounds because it's the best thing that you can use. Imagine how much honey they needed to use then without medicine. And Drem's just coming in after a battle saying, I'm going to need that jar of honey to feed my big white bear.
I imagine they gave it up willingly because imagine if the big white bear doesn't get his honey, what's going to happen to us?
Do they have a lot of honey in places where polar bears live?
No.
It's so cold.
The climate was changing. There were demons out there, so he had to skedaddle. Albino being the default resident, just the white, the bears that are white, it's crazy.
I also thought this because we had a white crow. I was like, oh, maybe it's albino, but yeah.
I need to
Stop
it.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, do we have any parting thoughts?
Polar bears are white. We've all learned things today.
Drem's animals are white because he's in the Great White North, you guys. He's from the Arctic. That's why they're white, because they had to blend in with their surroundings.
Snowy mountains.
Aaron, the teacher, came out.
You know what? I'm really glad that we discovered this here and I didn't like meet John Gwynne and ask him why. Why is friend? Why is friend a big white bell? Easy magic.
The magic of
Wow.
friendship.
Mm-hmm.
My puppy's annoying. What is she doing?
Yeah.
Well, is the next live show the 8th of March?
That's a very good question, Sandra. I have no idea. Let me look.
Or is it the 15th of March?
Ooh,
the
March
first is
8th is
summer.
not good for me.
Did you already tell us that?
Probably not, because I mean, maybe. That's Emerald. That weekend is Emerald City Comic Con.
Oh.
The original
exciting.
announcement, I think, said the 8th, but you know.
Okay,
Ham-
we can do the 15th because that's just like.
Ham is a girl. You know, have you seen those tweets where it's like you pick up your cat or your dog and you look at their beans and if they have like beans, they're white. If they have like brown beans, they're black. Maybe Ham is a black bear, but she's white on the inside.
Ham has pink beans.
I mean, yeah, he is special because he's our friend, but he is just white because he's
Somebody said that all friends are special.
mm-hmm. For sure.
Wow. What a wonderful note to end this series on. So we will be starting the Blood Swan Saga. The first book is The Shadow of the Gods. The Shadow of the Gods? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then The Hunger and then The Fury, I think, of the Gods. That's the one. Those covers are so much nicer. I really like them.
Yeah, Mira.
I want to set y'all up for success, and I want you to read. I'm like, where's the dragon? Where's the dragon? The dragon is the last scene of the book. That's it. So
Okay.
you don't see the dragon to the absolute last scene.
I saw the
Okay.
hardcover versions of those at Barnes & Noble yesterday. The cover
The new
doesn't have
ones.
a title on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the
It's-
spread edges.
feels
The
wrong.
edges don't
Yeah.
match to me, but they're nasty.
No, the edges are like
the
really
lack-
garish.
Yeah, and the lack of title just it feels like they forgot something.
I will be buying paperbacks because you know what?
Yeah,
It just like feels really luxurious right now. Like buying a paperback.
Yeah,
Because
I
like
bought
they
the-
just don't exist. You have to wait so long for them.
I
That's
have
regular.
all the paperback. I'm ready.
Yeah, that's kind of like that with all the books, really. But that's not
No. Okay.
Amazing.
Well, on that note, we will love you and leave you. Thank you to my lovely host for joining me today. And for the Banished Lands, we will be back in 2 months on March 15th, assumedly, to discuss The Shadow of the Gods. I have updated the Discord now, so there are channels to discuss that if you wish. If you don't know what I'm talking about, like I said, the announcement is in the description box. Sorry, the dog's being weird. And I will see you all very, very soon. Bye.